you are. Okay.
Hello.
I am here with Wenting and Gábor, who has just given us a beautiful, moving, awe-inspiring performances of works by Stravinsky, Paganini, and we are also here joined by their little baby, Nico. So thank you all for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for us. Thank you.
All right, so I have some questions for Gábor.
Yes.
Are you happy?
Yeah. So Gábor, those are some crazy fireworks that we just heard through your performance of your Paganini. So how long have you been working on the piece?
Well, this is a piece which it's on my repertoire. So I have been, I think the first time when I learned it, it was still back in the States when I studied there, somewhat 17, 18 years ago. And then I had the possibility to perform a few times. And when we talked about this possibility, it came to my mind to perform. But not only because I just wanted to play a really kind of, I can say, a show piece, but it also has a little bit more to it, because it was on the 27th of May, which is the 180 years of anniversary of the passing of Niccolò Paganini. So that's why I was thinking about it to perform this piece.
Oh, thank you so much. And actually, do you remember what it was like to first learn this piece and to perform it?
I remember, absolutely, yes. Well, first of all, it was always a piece which I always wanted to learn, and of course, it's quite challenging, I have to say. And there are so many fantastic recordings, so there is so much to live up to it. You know, of course, there is probably one of the most famous performances by the great Russian violinist Leonid Kogan, who was very famous about this particular piece. And during many decades, I think he was the one. Probably also I should mention Ruggero Ricci. But these are the two violinists, virtuoso violinists, who were regularly performing this piece with a great success, of course. And so when I started to learn, of course, as we all violinists do, that, you know, we just lock ourselves up in the practicing rooms, and then we are there for quite some time, and then hoping for the best outcome.
Right. And do you have a specific image, or, you know, something that's in your head while performing this piece?
Oh, I have one favorite image, which is of Paganini, which is so, I find it so expressive, actually, which during many years, it was in my violin case. And actually, on the very end, you can see this image for one moment. And that's probably one of my images, because somehow it's so expressive, expressing all those, his whole personality somehow. Well, that's my favorite of him.
Thank you for sharing your story, your talent, and your musical gift with all of us. I think this is actually the piece is a great celebration of life, and hopefully we'll all be able to make it through this crazy time with a sense of humor intact, like your performance of this Paganini. So thank you so much. And
thank you very much. Thank you very much for the possibility.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And speaking of challenges, I know you're trying to juggle your life of teaching, you know, practicing, and also keeping your baby alive, Nico, who's so
exactly. And this is actually, I have to say, much bigger challenge than any of the Paganini pieces.
And how are you able to make it work in this time?
Well, you know, right now it was actually, it was a little bit challenging, you know. We had to solve between us, you know. Once Wenting was practicing, I was with Nicolas, then we changed, and then somebody was cooking, and so it was a little bit complicated. But, you know, we were very happy to do it.
Yeah. What about for you, Wenting? How has this time been?
I mean, it was strange at the beginning that, you know, you don't have to go anywhere. You can be at home 24 hours, and it was like suddenly you get into a tunnel that you were not expecting before. But then I really loved part of the time that I can be, that we can just really be full time with him at this precious time that when we know that it passes and it never comes back again. So it's, I know it's a lot of terrible things in this pandemic, but this side of the pandemic is a blessing, I think, for the families who can escape the busy working life and be with each other.
Yes.
So it's not all bad, of course.
Yeah, and I have to say, chasing after a toddler is super tiring, but it's actually a blessing in disguise, like you said, because it occupies everything about our energy, and it distracts us from all this other things that makes us sad and
yes.
And how are you like in Spain right now? I know it was one of the most hardest hit countries early in the
At this moment now, things are starting to open up because the new cases, the numbers are getting down. And people are, letting down the guards step by step. And the government is also, they released the policy of having different phases to release people from the quarantine slowly. So not all at once, but I think it's a smart move. But seems so far the numbers are still okay. So fingers crossed.
So let's talk about the chaconne. Let's talk about the chaconne. Gabor's piece is a theme and 7 variations on the melody. Now your piece is just a bass line repeated 64 times, right? I mean, how hard that can be, or how interesting can that be, right? But well, we all know that, I mean, I don't really believe in perfection, but I think if anything were to be close to perfection, I think this piece for me is it. And I know performing in this piece is like, climbing Mount Everest, physically, emotionally, psychologically.
Yes.
So how is it to be tackling this piece in this time for you?
Oh, it's anytime when I play through this piece or work through this piece, it's such a experience, such a journey that I feel I'm always learning something, and there's always something that I didn't see before. So I think it's what Bach left to us. It's a huge gift. So especially during this time, you suddenly you have more time with yourself. I mean, we have more time with the family, but also things stopped. And also in this stillness, it made my mind think of it also a little bit differently. That maybe the fast rolling world is not all that important. And maybe to like sit down and to really work on something without thinking that there is some sort of deadline or there is some sort of something to reach to it was different than before, I have to say.
So, obviously there's so much to admire about this piece, but I'm just curious, what do you love most about this piece?
Oh, first thing is that as it's technically demanding, musically it's so purifying. It gives you, it kind of takes all the dirt away from life, and at that moment you are just yourself and you are you are connected in some ways spiritually with something that you believe in. But I think for me, just to have this chance to touch this piece and to be able to perform it in any circumstance is a big present.
Well, we are so looking forward to taking this journey through your performance today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think in circumstances like, you know, that we're in now, where many of us are in risk of losing health, wealth, and lives, it's tempting to focus inward and, you know, think of our own needs. But I think we are so grateful for both of you here today, offering your music with all of us. I think it gives us inspiration to think about what using our virtuosity, whatever that may be, to do virtuous things in times like now to make the world a better place. So,
yes.
Yes, so thank you. So without further ado, here is Wenting's Bach Chaconne.
Thank you. Thank you, Ellen.